bitch, what was that? Shit went down, and we are gonna talk about this. Oh crap. And heads up slash warning slash disclaimer, I'm probably gonna get a little bitchy in this one, so that's something to look forward to. Hi guys, I'm Chris. Welcome back to the Kiki. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. I've missed you guys. Where have you been? Oh my god. Can you believe what happened? Like, can you though? No, but can you? Seriously. Holy shit. Thank God I have you guys to talk to about this because, girl, if I didn't have you, I would explode from not being able to say anything. Oh, queen. We need to get into this. We need to get into the Kiki. We need to do this, girl! Okay, so the girls come back in from the runway and Jasmine has left the workroom. BGB, bye girl, bye. And while they're reminiscing and talking and they're having a bit of a giggle about, you know, pop the corns, feed the children, which is kind of gross, Miss Fame in the commentary goes off on one and shows off her catty side and is like, you know what, no, I'm glad she's gone. She was a weak link. You know, that whole corn thing was disgusting. Like, no. And I was like, yeah, cool, we're seeing another side to Miss Fame, a little bit bitchy. I'm like, yes, girl. And the girls are also commenting on Pearl's critique, where Ru gave her a wake-up call, literally woke her up, and where she was saying that she thought she had bedroom eyes. People are misinterpreting it as being stoned, and I'm like, girl, bedroom eyes? Really? No, you just look asleep. So the next day comes along and Ru comes in and gathers the girls and announces that there is actually no mini challenge, which is a bit odd. You know, I suppose I'm always used to seeing a mini challenge and they're always quite fun. But today they decided to get rid. So Ru announces that the main challenge is hashtag punny or die, where the queens have to create spoof music videos and lyrics and song to one of Ru's own tracks. So no pressure, girl. And just to be extra shady, Ru announces that there are no team captains. So the girls have to arrange themselves by themselves, which I'm not sure if we've seen before. I can't remember if that's ever happened before. So it was certainly very interesting to see them all trying to, you know, pair off and grab each other and kind of, you know, see who was left. So I was like, yeah, I thought that was a really good twist. Loved it. So the teams that ended up together were Ginger, Kennedy, Kasha and Candy. Then there was Miss Fame, Pearl, Trixie and Katya. And then finally, what seemed like what was left was Violet, Max and Jaden, who formed a three. Cheeky. So Team Max, as it were, got Sissy That Walk, which they changed to, oh gosh, something along the lines of Now It's Time to Clock. Team Pearl got Dance With You, which they changed to I Want to Tan With You. And Team Ginger got Let the Music Play, which they changed to, you know what, I'm not even sure. I don't remember. I know it was something about shopping and parodying Ru selling everything. But I can't remember the name of the song. That's really bad, isn't it? So girl, what did you think about the titles? I was a bit like, I'm interested though, what you guys, given those songs, what would you have come up with? What would be your sort of comedic input on this one? And in fact, actually, let's widen this up. Let's open it up to all RuPaul songs, especially the main three, because obviously those were the challenge. But like, you know, let's start changing up, you know, RuPaul's music here. Like, let's see what else we can come up with. Drop your input in the comments below. Hashtag spoof a RuPaul song. So all the queens are working together, and it's very odd to watch, and it must have been very weird to actually be doing it because there were no team leaders, and no one was kind of wanting to just take that all-enhancing role, apart from maybe Miss Fame. Miss Fame was being very authoritative, clashing a lot, especially with Pearl. It was getting a little bit awkward, and I was like, ooh. And in other teams, they were kind of, you know, it was all kind of a joint input, but it was, I suppose, a bit tricky because there was always someone that's saying, I'm not really keen on that idea, I think we should do this, and there's other one going, no, I don't like that, and ooh, you know, so it is certainly interesting to see the team challenges without a team leader. So the girls have come up with their lyrics, and they go into the recording studio with Lucien Piane, and they start recording, basically. So Katya's quite a funny singer, she takes direction well. Miss Fame is not a bad singer, let's give it to her. A little bit rough around the edges, but she's not really known for being a singer, so I was like, oh, okay, okay, that's interesting. Violet was creating a very tense atmosphere. It was really awkward. She's just being her bitchy self, but that's Violet. I'm, cool with that now. It's, I guess, what I'm expecting. But I still want her to sort of show a little bit of humility because I love her, but like she needs to be a bit more warm, Ginger can sing really well, and actually, surprisingly, so can Kennedy. I was really impressed with her singing voice. And Kasha Davis was just hilarious. That whole kind of cowardly lion thing, just, so funny what she does. So back in the workroom, they are having to put together choreography and a look so that they can then go off and film the video. And Miss Fame's team, they're doing the choreography, and Miss Fame is leading the charge when it comes to choreography. And I'm sort of sat there like, but bitch can't dance. Didn't quite understand why they were sort of letting her take that role. I'm not saying that she was terrible, but after seeing her dancing in the Glamazonian Airways thing, she can't really dance, and Katia has proven herself to be a very, very good dancer. And I'm thinking, have they missed a trick here? So then the girls go and record the video, and Team Max was really cool. I liked their spin on Sissy That Walk, where they are each playing a different character from the top 3 of last year's season. Violet, for me, was hilarious this episode. Like, that whole thing that she was doing in the commentary around Max, where she was just like, so over him being so prudish and that kind of thing, was just everything. And yeah, I got some really good laughs from her. I was a bit surprised. So like, good on you, Violet, keep doing that. Jaden was hilarious. Her look for Bianca Del Rio was just everything. So funny. And I will get to like the final performance a bit later on. But what was quite funny was when Max is doing the lip sync, you can hear obviously the track over top, and you're thinking like, what accent is that? Like, because Max has an interesting accent anyway, and I'm not 100% sure if it's put on or not yet. Like, he does it in and out of character, but I'm still a bit like, is that put on? I'm not sure. It is very different. I like it, but it's a bit different. But when he was doing Courtney Act, I was a bit like, pick an accent and stick with it. Because one minute it was Max, and the next minute it was this pseudo-Australian thing, and then the next minute it was like awkward British, and I was just getting a bit lost in it, and I was like, can you go back to the recording studio and try that again? Shady. Team Ginger, they were red for their Drag You reference, but I think it was more kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of reading than an actual, like, being offended from Ru. But their look was really good. It was like all black and white. I liked it. That was cool. And Trixie's team, it was really disjointed. It wasn't really working very well. It didn't seem very well thought out in their execution. And it was all kind of, overgrown orangutans because they're tanned. So then we come to the runway, and the main theme is green, much to the absolute horror of Michelle Visage, whose jaw literally hits the floor. Because bitch don't like green. Okay. So that is some real shade from Ru right there. Although, is anyone else thinking it is a bit of a basic theme? Oh, just wear green. Like, I don't know, in the past, they've done things like, Jet Set Eleganza and, Bearded Queen Realness and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, green. Okay. Green. So Pearl comes out on the runway, and I immediately recognise the outfit from the trailer. And in the trailer, I absolutely loved it. I was looking forward to this outfit the whole way through. And on the runway, I have to admit, I hated it. I hated it. Oh, it was awful. I know a lot of people will probably read me for this. I did not like it. In the trailer, you only see the top half when she sort of does the little tongue thing. And I was like, ooh, nice material. That looks really good. Like, oh yeah. And I even mentioned it in my trailer review of the show that I really liked the little headpiece. And I was like, oh my gosh, it looks amazing. But on the actual runway, oh no, it was just not right. First things first, it was a leotard. And I'm like, no, it just looked wrong. She wasn't wearing pads. And she was saying that she wanted to look like a snake. And I get that. But snakes are long, elegant creatures. They're not, cut in half. Really, that dress should have been, well, a dress that, you know, whatever she was wearing should have hit the floor. And quite frankly, I think it should have gone all the way down and had a really long train to it at the back so that she can literally slither down the runway, you know, take her time, be slow, do S's down the whole way, let that train just follow her all the way down and really give us that, you know, serpentine kind of look that she was trying to give. For me, it just fell through. And bitch, wear some pads. And as well, she looked really awkward in it. It looked like the outfit was wearing her. When she was walking, she was a bit hunched over and it was a bit shuffly. And I was like, oh no, the concept is so good and the execution is so bad. Max comes out and I'm just thinking, did you run out of time? Because bitch is half dressed. Like, what happened to the top half? I get what you're going for, like Raja season 3, but like, no, I liked it, but if you're going to do something that similar to Raja, you need to at least do it better or close to that standard. I think it just slipped. You needed a top to it, I think. Just having a couple of little pasties didn't really work for me, and it actually detracted for me, I think. And it was cute, don't get me wrong, but I just think it could be fleshed out a bit more. You know, not your strongest one, Max, have to admit, not your strongest outfit. Violet's, initially I didn't like. But when I watched it again, because I watched the episode twice before I review it, because I like to be as thorough as I can possibly be, I liked it the second time round. So I was like, okay, this is cool. It was a lovely, lovely outfit. You know, there's not much to it, but it worked. And I really liked the little embellishments and the jewels on that ass girl. And it was just very fun, very showgirl, you know, apart from like the wonky boob that she'd drawn on, but like, I can let that go. And then funnily enough, the opposite happened with Kennedy. I liked it the first time round. And then when I rewatched it, I really didn't like it. I think the feather cut halfway was just a bit too much and it kind of created a bit of an odd silhouette underneath. Considering the top half was so detailed and decorative and the bottom half was just green, I think I would have liked to have seen the top half extended all the way down because there was beautiful patterns and colours and, you know, the contrast. I thought it was really nice. So, yeah, I kind of went off that the second time round. And Ginger, oh girl, you missed a trick here, honey. You should have walked out in full-on leprechaun realness. Like, you know, top hat, little curly hair, shillelagh, green, all the way down. Like, you missed a trick there, girl. Like, give me some Patrick's Day realness, girl. Come on. So the girls are all lined up and they're eagerly awaiting their video debut. So the first ones up are Team Trixie. The song is quite catchy, actually. You know, all day I've been singing Turn and Burn and Turn and Town with You, that kind of thing. It's just been completely stuck in my head. So yeah, I was like, kudos on the lyrics. So all the back work that they did, you know, it was good. The video came together, considering how disjointed the filming was. But I think it all pulled together sort of in the end. Katia, for me, was exceptionally funny. She totally owned the character that she created, and I absolutely adored the little sunglasses tan lines that she had. I thought that was a very clever little detail touch that just totally made the character work. Pearl, for me, completely missed the mark. You know, I was like, the lip sync was completely off, didn't really like the outfit, and I was like, oh God, fearing for her. Trixie flubbed a couple of bits, you know, she was a bit out of sync in some of the dancing, but I think her stumbles were, you know, kind of on par with some of the other teams that had stumbled a little bit, so that was that. Team Jaden was just everything. I think this was the best video. It was so funny. Violet giving Adore was just fantastic. She really kind of captured it, I think. Max, you know, missed the mark a bit, but we've discussed that. Jaden, though, as Bianca, absolutely phenomenal. I was in hysterics, especially at the bit where she's grabbing Violet's wig and going dry, 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 dry. Genius, absolute genius. She was totally channeling Bianca, and I was like, well done, Jaden. This is the comedy stylings that I want to be seeing, girl. And then Team Ginger, they sounded really good together when they're doing the harmony bits. I was like very impressed. But the thing that really bugged me was that they were talking over each other, like their little ad libs and their little funny puns and stuff. They were introduced into the line too early, so they're kind of talking over each other, and I really struggled to hear what they were saying. It was a clever concept, and I thought that it worked really well. So yeah, kudos to them. So Ru brings forward Katya, Jaden, and Kennedy and announces that each one of those was the best in their team, that they were the standout performers. And from that, Ru announces that Kennedy is the winner of this challenge. And I'm like, really? Like, she was funny, but she weren't all that funny. Like, no, I think it should have been given to Jaden, really, because, like, her Bianca was down. She had the look, she had the attitude, she had the comedy, which is exactly what you're looking for. I just thought she was way better. And even Katya, I think, was better than Kennedy. But, you know, whatever. Kennedy got the win, but she won 3 years' supply of, effectively, baby wipes. So, you know, it's almost like punishment enough, really, isn't it? So those three girls are safe, along with Ginger Minge and Miss Fame, and they all get to leave the stage and go off to record the first bit of Untucked. So then the rest of the queens are critiqued. Pearl is red for filth. You know, she's completely red. Michelle is even like, are you a stoner? Because you look so out of it right now. And Pearl tries to defend herself, but I don't think very well. But yeah, they are tearing her apart. They said to Trixie that she's kind of fading, that she's not living up to expectations, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I feel sorry for her and Pearl. Max is red a bit as well, actually, for not really wearing enough green, and Michelle even challenges him to wear a non-grey wig next week, or at some point. Kasha is clocked for her voice, but she knows she can't sing, so she makes up a little funny joke about B. Arthur, which, you know, goes down well. And Candy Ho is red for the fact that her outfit doesn't have a theme. And I was a bit shocked at how hard they came for her, because why does there have to be a theme? They didn't say it has to be a themed idea, character, costume thing. It's just that all the other queens came up with one. So Pearl's Snake, Trixie's Oriental Girl, Max's Mary Antoinette thing. Yeah, they all had a theme, but it wasn't a prerequisite. And I think for them to come for Candy's look just for that reason is a bit harsh, especially since Katya and Kennedy's outfits were effectively green dresses as well, and those two were highly praised. So I'm a bit like, you know, I don't think the critique on Candy was very fair. And I know, we're gonna get to it. I know a lot of people aren't happy about Candy today, but we're going to get to it. I'm just trying to be fair. But they're really gunning for Trixie and Pearl, so obviously it's starting to set up for what's about to happen. But the girls disappear to film the rest of Untucked, and the judges deliberate. So the girls come back on stage, and it is revealed that Pearl and Trixie fall into the bottom two. So they're performing Dreaming by Blondie, which sounds very upbeat, very kind of summer vibe that I got from it. So they start going for it, and Trixie is giving a very happy, over-the-top, bubbly, kind of campy lip sync with lots of movements and fan work and that kind of stuff. And for me, it really fits the tone of the song. Whereas Pearl is sort of stood there not doing a whole lot. Her lip sync isn't as strong as Trixie's, and all she's kind of doing really is this. That's kind of all she's doing. So I'm watching it and I'm thinking, Trixie won the lip sync, Trixie was better during the show, Trixie's been throughout the series a stronger performer, I think. Trixie's got this. And Ru then reveals that Pearl is the one to be safe and Trixie's the one that has to go home. And I'm like, beg pardon? You know, I've already had enough craziness in this episode. Like, as I said, no mini challenge, no team leaders, Kennedy winning. And then Trixie's the one that goes home? No. 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 This is where Chris starts to get a bit bitchy and starts to read. Now, first things first, let's get this clear. I am not a huge fan of either of them, Pearl or Trixie. I liked them. They have grown on me. When I first started watching the show, they went under my radar. I was like, I'm really not seeing why everyone's going, you know, crazy for them. But by sort of like episode 2, I think I even said it in one of the previous Kikis, that they had grown on me, that both of them at equal rates were growing on me. And I was like, yeah, I think these are great performers. I still wasn't sure how far in the competition they'd go, but I was like, I'm starting to get both of their styles because they are a bit out there, a bit different from the norm, but I was starting to get it. So don't think that I'm some kind of Trixie fangirl here that feels completely, screwed over, because I'm not. Like, if I was a complete Trixie fangirl, I would be feeling really crap. And I think understandably so. There is a lot of backlash around this, and this is why this needs to be addressed. Although I think some of the backlash is unnecessary, some of the hate that's going on, like, guys, stay classy. Like, it's not Pearl's fault that she stayed, but don't go crazy on social media. And also don't spoil it for others. Like, this episode leaked early in Canada and everyone's been talking about it. Like, bitch, no, some of us have to wait a while to see this. Like, do you know what I mean? I feel like everything has leaked this series. It's driving me around the twist. I'm scared to go on social media. Like, girl, get it together. But when you look at what they've both been doing throughout this series, Trixie has been giving more. In the last episode, Pearl completely messed up and she was given a wake-up call. Literally, RuPaul said to her, wake up, Pearl. Consider this a wake-up call. You need to get your head in the game. What did she do with that warning? Nothing. She still did the same thing the following week that she did all the other weeks. And I get it. She's trying to be true to herself and that kind of thing. But what herself is coming across as this apathetic, over it, stoner face kind of whatever. And if that's what you are really going for, Pearl, fine. But you need to show us that you can do something else. In the same way that Sharon Needles in, was it like episode 2, gave us a glamour, cutesy girl look. She then didn't do it again, but she said, this is what I can do. I'm not just horror. I can do it, I just don't want to. She didn't show us that she can do it. She's just kind of going, no. And it's really bugging me. I think she's a great performer, and I don't want people to think I'm ragging on her, but she was given a warning, and she didn't do anything with it. Now, what are we supposed to do as viewers with that information? Trixie, on the other hand, was put in the bottom 2 because they thought that she was fading, she wasn't living up to expectations, and that she wasn't funny enough. Well, they haven't critiqued her for that before. In the past, they've just been saying, yeah, you're doing fine, keep it going. What else is she supposed to think? That critique came out of nowhere. So obviously, if she's not getting the critique, she's going to think, oh, I'm doing fine, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. They're enjoying it. So for them to put her in the bottom 2, for that reason, without warning, is a bit shocking, but okay, fine. But for them to then kick her off for that, I think is a bit unacceptable, because her look was better, her performances over the last 4 weeks have been better, she has been putting, I think, more into it, and her lip sync was better. Her lip sync for Your Life beat Pearl's. Period. So how can they send her off when they didn't even give her any warning about the fact that they didn't like what she was doing, when the previous week they told Pearl, you're not giving us what we want at all, wake up, show us something. With that information, she does nothing, and they still let her stay. What more can others do? If that was anyone else in that situation, what could they have done? Like, had Katya fallen in there, Jaden, Ginger, had anyone fallen in that situation with Pearl, well, in theory, they would just go home as well, because Trixie beat Pearl, her looks were better, her performances were better. What are you supposed to do? I mean, I think it was last week's Untucked, it was revealed that I think Pearl has only been doing drag for about a year. And like, what she's accomplished in a year is fantastic. Like, I do like Pearl. I really understand like where she's kind of coming from. But I'm starting to wonder if she should have waited a bit more to apply for RuPaul's Drag Race. It just seems that if this is what she's going to do, she needs to make sure that people get it. That it's not just kind of, oh, I've been doing it for a year and I'm like, this is just what I do. If you're going to do something that different, you need to show them that you know what you're doing and it's not just coming off as apathetic. I'm just really struggling, and I'm not holding it against Pearl. I just think she should have gone home. Like, end of. I suppose the main thing that I'm a bit sort of like, ooh, about is that I really feel that Ru made a bad call. And because it all falls on Ru's shoulders, I'm a bit like tentative now, because I've generally felt that in the past he's always sent home the right person. I mean, in recent times, the only one that I think he really should have kept was Ben de la Creme over Darian Lake. And for such a position of, you know, authority, as it were, and judgment to be given, I think you need to make sure that you make the right decision. And this was one where I just feel it was kind of unjustified. Like with Ben, I could understand it because Darian was far better in the lip sync, but her outfits were crap that episode. So there's a little bit of justification. But with this one, I just think Trixie outshined Pearl in every way. And I'm like, well, why did she go home then? You know, so it's a bit worrying for me that I feel there was a bad call made and a bad judgment, because then I'm having to think like, oh, what does this mean for like the rest of them and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm not going to read into it too much. You know, some people are saying they're not going to watch the rest of the series, and I'm like, it's a bit of an overreaction. But it's an interesting episode because it kind of made me question everything about how the judgments work and how they're being sent home. You know, I didn't think Kennedy was the correct winner. I don't think Trixie should have gone home. I do think Pearl should have gone home. You know, all this kind of stuff. And it's just made me really start questioning. And I think that's probably the crux of most people's anxiety over this, is that they don't really know how to react, because it's not like they had a chance to say. But I know that you can't have like a weekly vote or something. So it's a very tricky balance. But this episode has, I think, sort of had so many weird things in it that everyone's kind of a bit like, what is going on? So I think that's part of the problem that people are getting so worked up about. I think, you know, I think some of this hype around Trixie leaving is a bit overreaction, but it does sort of highlight perhaps an underlying issue or something to that effect. I don't want to make it seem like it's a big thing. I'm not trying to say we need a knee-jerk reaction here. You know, usually there's one or two bad calls in a series, but this one just seems so obvious, and the same with like the winning person. None of it seemed to work together as an episode. So it's a bit like, what's going on here, girl? I mean, granted, who else could have been in that bottom two, apart from maybe Candy Ho? But I think she did well. Everyone keeps going on, Candy Ho should have gone, Candy Ho should have been in the bottom. Just because you don't like her, just because she's been a bit of a bitch and she's fallen into the background a little bit, doesn't mean that she should go home. Yes, she played it safe with that nice dress. Yes, she played it safe in the challenge, and that's fine. You know, plenty of other queens have done a lot worse and still been safe. So I don't really know why people are trying to get rid of her for that reason. I think it's just scapegoating. I mean, picking that bottom two was tough because everyone was kind of on a very similar level, and I think Pearl had to be in the bottom two. Part of me thinks that Max should have been there as well. The performance as Courtney wasn't great, and his outfit wasn't all that. You know, for me, it was between Pearl, Max, Trixie, and maybe Candy, if you're really looking for a fourth. Bit controversial, I know, but when you really look at it and you take it objectively, Max struggled. But Trixie took it with dignity. It was a complete shock. Everyone was thinking it was at least going to be Candy and Pearl, and that Candy would probably go home or Pearl, but not Trixie. I mean, this is why everyone is so shocked, and it's so out of the blue, but she took it with great dignity, and kudos for her. She has a huge following behind her, and I think being sort of the one booted off too early is going to probably give her a lot of new fans that she may not have had before because of the sort of the unjustness to it. But I do think Pearl should have been the one to go home. She's not really given us anything else for 4 weeks, and a lot more queens have been sent home for better work. So I think it was her time to go, and I think Ru made a bad decision. I know that is not going to go down well with some people, because I know a lot of you are big Pearl fans, and I do like Pearl, do not get me wrong. But I think her time is not now. I think she should have waited maybe for next year and have a bit more of a fleshed out look, because there's still some bits to it that aren't quite right. So let's breathe, big cleansing breath. Let's not get too crazy. There is still a lot to discuss with this, and I want us to all talk about this. There's so much to discuss. So do comment below with what your thoughts are, because this has been a very, very controversial episode. You know, it's like Ben de la Creme all over again. And just get some talk going. I still don't feel like I've covered every aspect of this that I want to cover, but this video is already way too long. And if you want anything specifically cleared up, drop me a question, drop a comment, drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Yeah, let's just get the conversation going. But yeah, the main thing is, don't think that I am so pro one or the other through fangirl reasons. I've been looking at this objectively. I've been thinking about this all day long to try and make sure that what I present to you is fair and balanced and, you know, coming from what my opinion is without distraction. So, yes, tentatively, I put this video out there because I think there's gonna be a lot of commentary and there's gonna be a lot of shade and stuff. But guys, let's be civil about this. Let's be dignified. Let's be classy. So don't let fangirling get in the way of what someone is saying. Don't let your bias, all that kind of stuff. You know, let's be real, let's be rational, and let's have a proper conversation, a proper debate about this, because this is a big episode that's just gone down. So let's do it properly, shall we? Yes, go! So thank you so much for joining me for the Kiki this week. I cannot wait for next week. Let's bring it on. I'm still enjoying this series, although there are some rough around the edges bits, but you know, let's hope it just keeps getting better and better. So yes, don't forget to drop me a thumbs up, drop a comment below, and as always, hit that subscribe button for me. Come join the family because we're all lovely here. And yes, until next time, be good, be safe, stay out of trouble, and as always, be fierce, girl. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care, bye!